the last couple of videos, we have tried to understand what is a class, object and constructors, which are the basic units to understand to get started with the object-oriented programming for any language. But before we start understanding in detail about the features of object-oriented programming, we need to understand some important points while working with the class and objects. Now, in this video, let us understand what is static and non-static or instance members of a class. Whenever a member is binded with the objects defined for the class, then it is said to be an instance or non-static member. And by default, whenever we define a member for the class, it will be considered as the instance or non-static member only. And to access the members, we need to use the object name dot the member name. Whenever a member is binded with the class definition, then that member is considered as a static member. And to set the value for the static member, we need to use class name dot the member name. And to read the value from the static member, we can use class name dot the member name or object name dot the member name. One important point we need to remember here is that the value of the static member is shared across all the objects defined for the class. And hence, irrespective the object used to access the static member, the value remains the same. Now, once we understood what is static and instance members, then the next part we need to understand is when to define a static member and when to define a member as a non-static or instance member. Let us understand that point in detail. A simple thumb rule is that whenever the value has to be shared, then define that member as a static. And whenever the value of the member has to be specific for every individual object defined for the class, then we need to define that member as a non-static member. For example, let us assume that we have a class with the name Shaker Students, where I wanted to define the data structure to maintain the details about the students enrolled in my courses. So let us assume that we define that class with the following members: registration ID, student name, course name, fees, join date, total students. Now, in these members, we need to identify what are all the values that will be specific for the individual student and what are all the values which remain common for all the students. So, if we observe, every student will have a unique registration ID. Every student is individual. So, the name of the student will also be specific. I provide trainings for more than 30 plus courses. So, the individual student might join in any course. So, that course name will also be specific. Based on the course, the fees will also be specific for the student. And every student joins in a different day, and hence join date will also be specific for the student. And when we observe the total students, that value remains common for all the students. So based on the above requirement, registration ID, student name, course name, fees and join date has to be specific for every individual student. And hence these member has to be defined as a non-static members. And the total students value remains common for all the students. So that member should be defined as a static member. One important point we need to remember here is that object-oriented programming will not have a concrete set of rules for writing the code. It always changes. means it is not always that the members what I defined earlier should always remain static or non-static. They change based on the requirement of the application. For example, let us change our requirement. Now, my new requirement is I wanted to have a data structure to maintain the student details who have enrolled for my Python course. So let us update our class name, Shaker Python students. And let us have the same members for the class, that is registration ID, student name, course name, fees, join date and total students. Now, according to this new requirement, let us observe what values remain common and what values are specific for every individual student. Registration ID is always unique, so it will be specific for the individual student. Every student is different, so the student name is also specific for the individual student. Now, as per our new requirement, this data structure is to maintain the student details who have enrolled for only Python course. So the name of the course for all the students remains same. And since the course is same, the fees for all the students will also remain the same. And join date will be specific for every individual student. And the total students enrolled for this course will also remain common, right? So, as per the new requirement, only registration ID, student name and join date will be non-static members. Course name, fees and total students will be static members. Again, if there is a change in the requirement, if we specify that the students will be provided with different coupons, based on the coupon applied, the fees varies for every individual student. Then the fees will not be a static anymore. It will become a non-static member. Hope you have understood what is static and non-static members of a class. In the next video, we shall understand practically how to define a static and non-static members for the class. See you in the next video. Hi friends, hope you are enjoying my videos. If you like my video, please subscribe my channel and click on the bell icon to get the notifications of all my latest videos. Happy programming, yours Shaker.